The more you know equals to the more you don't know. That is the thing that I educate myself. And then from there, Satu Minggu, I guess I give my academy Siap. My name is Alvin Leong. Yeah, I started photography since 1997. My childhood, I grew up in Kuching. I'm a pasar boy. I grew up in Carpenter Street. So Carpenter Street, that's where the shop of my nene is there. So that shop is 1932. I used to play in Carpenter Street. I used to play in the courthouse. So I have a lot of friends. During that time, our friends from seorang, kampong, come over. We play at courthouse. So that was our playground. So I used to go to museum there and play. My father used to bring the camera and take photo. That is the time when I noticed camera. I asked them what is that. He said it's a camera. From kindergarten to primary to secondary, all purely St. Thomas. So I'm a pure Thomian. M higher, that's the point, M higher. So there's a lot of prominent people from St. Thomas, but you all can go and find out. But I'm from St. Thomas, so I grew up there until Form 5. I went over to Australia to study, and I did my high school in Australia. After that, I continued my accounting degree in Australia. Then I took up 1 year as flying course as a pilot, so I got a pilot license. After that, it is during that flying time that I have my point and shoot film camera that I shoot the scenery. That's where I slowly fell in love with photography. Not everyone can be a photographer. You need the love, you need passion. So that's how I started. We grew up as a very humble family. We are not from a rich family. My parents are humble family that is making decent living. So the one thing that my parents always teach me, be humble. Know how to talk to people from all level. So the word be humble is always my motto. So for me today, I live to that motto. My childhood dream is to be an architect. My childhood dream is also to be a pilot. My childhood dream is to be a singer. So a lot of things, that's my childhood dream. But it's good to have a dream. Dreams move you. You know, people must have dream. But is photography my childhood dream? No, photography is my adult dream. So when I become an adult, I dream to be a photographer. Because sometimes you feel that, photography, you can hang around with beautiful models. That your wife thinks that it's not wrong. Because it's work. So I think all the photographers out there, terbongkar. Rahsia terbongkar. Because I think to be an accountant is a boring job. 9 to 5 looking at the same thing, the journal entry, and when you can't get the balance sheet balance, then you get headache. So to me, I'm a outgoing person. I like to have fun, friendly, fun. So I choose photography because I think I can give happiness and give fun to people. And during that time, there's not many photographers. So I also think that, to be honest with you, doing photography can make a lot of money lah. 1997, that was back 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. We started using film photography. I started off as a landscape photographer. That's what most people do. They started off with landscape photography. So last time when we used to shoot, we used film. So we charged like satu roll RM150 during that time. So I just do it like maybe for one night, minimum mesti 4 rolls. So I lock at 4 rolls. So I shoot and then I develop one roll is 36 print. Then slowly in the year 2000, when I get my first digital camera, the Nikon D100, I started to convert into film. And during that time, a lot of argument about film or digital, because sometimes the digital, you can't get the skin tone right, especially the green and the red. My first camera is a Mamiya. It's a point and shoot camera. Then I changed to Nikon. I shoot with, that time we used film. So the pro camera during that time is the F100. The top of the range is the F5. F5 is the big camera. So I used F100. Then from there, I changed to D100. Then D2X, D3, then D4. Then of course, I stuck with Nikon because a lot of lenses. So first, when I started to love photography, I like the gadgets, I like lenses. So I went there and admire lenses. So I buy lenses. So my first memory is that when I bought this camera with my own money, I feel very happy. But that was never the thought about ended up to be a wedding photographer. When I started my academy, because I have reached a point whereby in photography I created, a lot of people ask me, how do you teach or not? I say, I don't. They say, why don't you teach? It was in overseas that I met a professor. I shoot a wedding in Perth. I met a professor. The professor told me to meet him in KL. The professor told me that you see me and can you create a course outline that can teach people to be like you? So that is how I trigger to start my academy. Before I started my academy, I met 2 strangers at the street in Kuala Lumpur. These 2 persons are Arabs. They actually asked me, do you know the way to Jalan Masjid India? So I was on my way to see the professor. That time as a photographer, you wear black t-shirt, jeans saja. So I want to see professor, I thought I want to put tie lah, panas. And during that time in KL, there's no My Taxi, no Grab. So you have to wave a taxi. 3 taxi stop, didn't want to pick me. So then after that, the 4th taxi stop picked me. And the 2 Arab I invite here because I asked the taxi driver, do you go to Masjid India? The taxi driver said yes. So I bring the Arab in. The Arab sat behind. The taxi driver thought it's my friend, but we usually met on the street. He asked for my card. I gave my Arab the card. So after that, we dropped the Arab. Then I went to my meeting. 2 days later, the Arab called me, flew all the way to Kuching for a portrait. And then after that, that business deal enabled me to make 260,000 ringgit from the Arab. And then from there, Satu Minggu, I give my academy Setiap. It was in year 2007, I created Alvin Leong Academy of Photography that worked in collaboration with Open University Malaysia. And my starting team during that time was a few prominent photographers. One of them is the late Harry Tan. He was teaching basic photography. I got my friend Edwin Lay to help me to teach on social event. Myself will teach on wedding. So I get a few of my team to help me to start this academy. My first job was an overseas job in Australia, to shoot wedding in Australia. And then from there, I never looked back. So I did photograph wedding in Australia, UK, Europe, Thailand, Bali, Japan, Brunei, and most of the Malaysian state and all the Australian state. I have did photography there. 7 years later, the Arab called me again. I flew to Yemen. I flew to Yemen and Jeddah to shoot his hotel. I brought my kawan from Kuching to shoot video, follow me, corporate video in Saudi. So until today, we still keep in contact. So my motto is, you have to be kind, help people. You never know who you met. I met this guy from the street. Today, we're good friends. I created slideshow because when I went to US attend a wedding, and after the shoot, I talked to the wedding photographer. The wedding photographer played slideshow that time on the wedding. So everyone was shooting film. Digital allow you to do that. So during that time in year 2000, I tried to come back and make slideshow for a wedding. They call it SDE today. That time in year 2000, I don't know how to do slideshow. So what I do is I capture all the photo, I put in the computer, and then I use the autoplay. So there's no transition. It was very hard. And then music, I use the ballroom. When they have live event, I use that music. So that time, the couple don't even know that this thing happened. So it was a surprise. I said that I hire this projector, I put it in the ballroom, and then I play. Then after that, the MC say you have to say something. I said to the beautiful couple, this is something for you. I said, my name is Alvin Leong, and then any one of you girls out there who ever get married, remember me. So that was kind of like a joke, but it became an advertisement. And then every slideshow, every 10 photos, I put my logo up because it's free, something that is free. So every 10 photos, I put my logo up. So when I played that, it was the first thing that happened in Kuching. And a lot of people, especially the audience, the bridesmaid that are going to get married, saw that. And you can tell from their expression, they look like that as if they are drowned inside. Their soul have been sucked inside. So I know this, who will be my next customer, from their expression. So that is how I do it that time, and then that's how I became quite famous that time. From the academy, we move on to handle industry matter. So I started WPPM in year 2010. WPPM is Wedding and Portrait Photographers Malaysia. We based that organization in Kuala Lumpur where we deal with industry matter, and I'm the chairman. And after that, in year 2012, 2 years later, because of members from Singapore, from Bangladesh, Taiwan, Australia, Thai, Brunei came in, we have no choice but to rename WPPM to WPPA, which means Wedding and Portrait Photographers Asia. And then because that become very famous, very big, and then it grow very big from KL, and we have people from Europe, UK join. So I cannot call Asia anymore. So I put WPPA International. So I dropped the word. So we have started very active. Today we have about 850 members from Bangladesh, from India, from actively Singapore, Malaysia. I love to eat. You can see on my size. Siapa sih suka makan? So I love to eat. I love a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I like. Of course, I like go holiday. I like to talk to people. I like meeting people. Because by talking to people, seeing people, you understand their feeling, their soul. As a photographer, I like to connect that soul and how to capture it. I don't know, photographers out there, do you have that feeling of when you see sentimental moment, you rasa macam mau nangis kah? So that part, macam you rasa mau nangis kah, tersentuh kah, touch kah, is a good part. Janganlah sia nangis, ambil gambar. So ladies, usually they like guys who are sensitive, emotion, because they think that guys who are sensitive, emotion, romantic are guys who know how to sayang them. Photographer also same thing. So you need to do that to understand a lady's heart. Ladies is the person who decide on wedding, because laki adalah orang yang keluar duit. Awak lah, if laki don't pay, so you better don't get that husband. Punya kedekut, you better don't get that husband. So, ladies, and my favorite subject is how to make a lady beautiful. There's 3 parts of a lady that you must know and you must emphasize in portrait. And if you don't cover that 3 elements of a lady, if you cover that 3 elements, fail. Okay, so a lot of photographers somehow did it wrong by covering either one of the elements. So these 3 elements of a lady very important: the face, the shoulder, the chin, the curve. When I look at the moments between the couple, husband and wife, I feel that I'm very sentimental. I feel that I'm inside. I feel this love story. So when a photographer can feel this love story, they can capture romantic shot for that wedding. So it is very important for photographer to feel the emotion of the day. I love the timeless moment. The timeless moment that we create and we lock that moment. So because moments cannot be replaced, photography is like capturing moment. So once you manage to capture a certain moment, that photo becomes priceless. At first you thought, to be a photographer is very easy to make money. People say that senang lah. Main ada picit tidak itu satu kali RM10. RM10. Mau ingat mau pergi KL, picit 3 kali beli tiket. Mau ingat beli kasut, picit lagi, beli kasut. Not that easy because one thing I wish I knew is that beside picit, you need to go through a process inside here. And that process, duit dapat beli. So I wish that life can be simpler. People just terima and bayar. Tapi nothing like this in this world. Money, love, being fun, passion, hobby into work, all these things motivates me to be a photographer. Sarawak! I want to pick Sarawak as my country to build my career because I am a Sarawakian, truly a Sarawakian. Bangsa Sarawak. I say we are Sarawakian. We are different. I say that's why I'm very proud. Ikhlas, memang ikhlas. I'm proud to be a Sarawakian. By teaching is another way to educate myself. Guiding, teaching, never stop learning. That is one way to educate yourself. Never say that you are an expert, that you stop learning. Always believe that there's so many, always believe that you don't know anything. That will move you forward and forward. The more the tagline that I know today that keeps me going on is, the more you know equals to the more you don't know. That is the thing that I educate myself. My challenge is long exposure photography, something that I didn't do for a long time. Tengok tangan dah gegar, takut saya. So, cubalah malam tu. This is kind of like a more of the advanced course, but you all can try it out. No harm, you can all try it out with torchlight, how we can create beautiful portrait. But you must understand the concept of lighting and how you light for or hit the subject. It's just the torchlight that I borrowed from my daughter. And it's got plastic. Switch off the light, and what we do is that we set the, of course, for any low light photography, we need a sturdy tripod, camera. We adjust the aperture to a minimum of f18, very small, and I put 13 seconds. My ISO is 50, or you can use 100. Why? We don't want to use high ISO because we don't want the portrait to be grainy. So now, let us do the demonstration for you. This whole portrait session will take about 10 minutes, 10 seconds, and I'll show you the effect. Building shot, white building, reduce the timer. Always shoot with very small aperture, reduce the timer. Because it's white building. This is now the building shot that I did. That is the building shot. You just get some nice architecture shot. But for shots like this, it's better to come at around 6:30 when the sky is blue. When you get magic blue, because I don't like black sky. I prefer to have a bit of details on the sky. So there's no such thing as the right exposure. So to the question, what is the right exposure of the photo? The right exposure is how you as an author, a photographer, wants your photo to be. So the moment come into my mind when I shoot this shot as a wedding photographer is how can I make this photo sellable? And as an amateur is how can I make beautiful photos? How can I learn from this photo? How do I want them to remember my work? Alvin Leong equals wedding photography.